What is up, y'all? So today is Thursday. It's just one of those days, guys. I'm just going to let you know this is probably a video. It's definitely worth skipping. Well, I'm not going to say worth skipping, but it's not going to be anything of real swimming related importance. Definitely Rakely related importance. Just going to go over some of the feedback I got from my services since I've been doing this. Like I said, it was just one of those. It's really one of those weeks. Sunday, Monday, and then today have been terrible, and it was kind of like at a point where it's like I didn't really want to do today, but trying to be consistent. So here it is. So yeah, pretty much I'm just going to talk through. I'm not going to show them. I haven't exactly edited everything. But we're just going to kind of go through some of the email feedback I've gotten. Some of the, I got a really nice one today, actually. DM feedback I got, and then just like notable followers, people who have liked my stuff. If you don't know about my Rakely Technique Solutions library, if there's like the typical swimming stuff that's taught at a club level, this is like, okay, now you're ready to take that next step. Like you can get across the pool well. Now I'm ready to start trying to compete and see how talented I am, right, as an athlete. Excuse me, guys. And that's where we come in. So a lot of times I say stuff that, even the guy who gave me the really nice compliment in the email said that, he was kind of in a little bit of disbelief when he bought my stuff. A lot of the content it's like the conversations that the people at the top of the sport have with each other about swimming faster. So I'll say stuff that maybe flies in the face of fast swimming or what is commonly coached and taught. But then, I get, the people who are having these conversations at these meets, they'll like my stuff and follow me. So big ups to them. But anyway, let's just jump into this. So first one we're going to look at is the follows and the likes. So, you know what? I think there is a way I can show this. Give me a second, y'all. Trying to figure out a way if I can show this without doxing my background. That's for me, not for thee. And then making it show up correctly. Yeah, I don't think there's a way I can do this, guys. Yeah, I can't do this. Dang. I would really like to figure that out. But it's not in the cards today. Alright, so anyway, so follows. First one we have up is, I got a real like from Cameron McAvoy when I was talking about connecting the opposite hip to your catch and pull. A lot of people talk about the hips being like static, and this is completely untrue about sprint freestyle. Like somebody tells you that they're wrong. And you might say, Dax, no, everybody says it. Well, the current reigning fastest freestyler, active fastest freestyler agrees with my take and my analysis without us having ever talked about it. So I might be right on that one. Elaine Bernard. So I had a reel about Elaine Bernard. So a lot of the windmill, like free sprint freestyle, it's not windmilling. It's the arm enters and then it's even, and then you extend under the chin by pressing through the shoulder. And Elaine presses a lot deeper through his shoulder. So he'll enter at the surface, boom, and then when he extends, he goes super deep with his instead of more pointed diagonal and forwardish. So his looks like a windmill, but yeah, he gave me a like almost immediately after I put that, or a follow, immediately after I posted it. And the thing that's kind of cool about this is, like, I don't tag anybody and stuff, so a lot of times, like, Elaine Bernard, like, we're not in the same ecosystem other than the fact we're both swimmers. So somebody probably saw it, sent it to him, and he was like, this is a really good take. Let me shoot your boy a follow. Olivia Smoliga, like the backstroke reel. This is my favorite reel, the one with Pearsall, Phelps, and Lochte. And it shows Pearsall's straight line pull. Shout out to Olivia. Effortless swimming follow. Brett gave me a really nice compliment. I was talking. Brett was helping somebody with their sprint free technique, and I was talking about how Brett, like when he was explaining it, Brett was moving with. Okay, so actually, this is a really good. I have to put this in something in the front saying this is actually a good video because so far it's actually been better than I thought. Brett had he was talking about moving in sprint freestyle, right? And he was talking about how you catch and then you like move past the catch. And the way Brett was doing it was all about him moving his body. Like he was moving his body forward. And the other guy was like pivoting around his like ankle, his leg. And I said in the comment, I was like, this is like a big difference between elite swimmers and kind of just I don't want to say, let's just say you're casual. Keep it real. And by casual, I mean just, a guy who's making these meets, Olympics, world champs, but really ain't medaling like that. And then what are you, Dax? I'm the guy who's breaking it down so you can be better and getting the praise of the world's best. So he said, I love your take. The problem is you have an elite eye. Most can't see what you see. Hopefully they understand your mastery. That was a big compliment because Brett's like, to me, it's like David Marsh, Brett Hawk, as far as sprint coach. Maybe Brett's my personal one. I think David, with everything he's done, has earned being number one, considering that all these coaches that you would consider great American sprint coaches are from David, right? So there is no Brett being number one without David being number one. So that's kind of that take. But yeah, Brett's probably my personal number one. So David's actually given me some really good compliments. I was talking with him online one time because I was asking him why he's not like regarded as like the greatest American sprint. Like Eddie's regarded as the GOAT, right? And people talk about him with this like supreme reverence. And I messaged David one day and I was like, why don't people treat you like this or recognize your accomplishments in sprint freestyle? And he was very humble about it. He's like, I've kind of just more gravitated towards just going where I can to help people, right? PC answer. Shout out to David. I'll talk shit for you, coach. That's for sure. But yeah, he said, thank you, Dax. I don't remember this was a comment. He said, thank you, Dax. Keep developing great content, growing in your knowledge, and taking bold positions in your beliefs. Carry on. And he sent me another, like a super nice comment. I don't think I screenshotted it. I need to put it in my library. Where he was like, you're like carrying on, like, basically he's like, you're carrying on the legacy. So it was something that's like, those are the compliments you want from, oh man, I'm getting a little heated behind the eyes, that you want from people you look up to. They say you never want to meet your idols, but I think, I never was, grew up knowing much about swimming, but just through the years and learning under David and then researching his accomplishments after I had left swim back, which is funny. It's like, oh man, this guy's a GOAT. So to receive compliments from him, receive that compliment from Eddie excuse me. Oh, Jesus. Sorry about that, y'all. Where, he's like, I never had a conversation with Eddie about a single practice he ever wrote. And to, just watching and observing and breaking down and questioning why, to get the, stamp of approval where he says, yeah, you got it all figured out. Like, to get these compliments from these people who you kind of revere and they're like, yeah, you got it, like, carry on the torch. It means a lot. I had a pro football player like me, Quincy Williams, a Jets linebacker. So I guess he probably knows somebody who's a swimmer. Sirius Yellow liked one of my reels. Nathan Adrian started following me. Natalie Coughlin liked one of my reels. It was a crossover turn reel, I think. Yeah, so that was a recent one. Shane Holiday, Shane Ryan. I've talked to Shane a few times online back in like the Facebook days, the Facebook dominant days. Michael Clem. Nathan liked a backstroke reel. Cool, shout out. And then Michael Clem again liked one of our reel takes for Night Swim podcast. right, so let's get to testimonials. We're going to primarily stick to, because I don't want this to be a long video. Like I said, this is kind of just a day where I was like not feeling it, and it's like, dude, get your ass up and get something done. So let's just go through some. So here's the first one. So these are like my first wave of compliments I started getting. When was this? In 2024? So like December 2024. So I might have some older ones in here too, but because yeah, they're all alphabetically. So yeah, I have some 2023 ones in here. I don't know if I have any 2022. 2024. So yeah, 2024, 2023. So this is like, this is kind of the beginning. I had somebody, previous social media guys, like, you need to start recording all your compliments or testimonials, right? So anyway, here's the first one. He said, man, I can't imagine taking this route when the future's unsure. You got big balls, my guy. My carrier, I'm not sure what that even meant by that. The people, my career, the people I can empower, my club's blessed, my family's blessed, because you gave me the tools I never knew I needed. You did the hard part. You stepped in when nobody else did. Thank you. This summer camp, my kids are going to hear your voice and see your face. That's really nice, man. And I've talked to these people, so it's not like I'm responding for the first time like some dickhead. But, like to hear people say stuff like that, not only like you give good information, but like, hey, like we're going to make sure you're recognized for it, right? Because anybody can take it and run with it, right? I'm not really, other than, my brand, I'm kind of leaving it up to them to give me my flowers. So, yeah, it's, things like that are mean a lot. Here's a breaststroke I helped with. It's so easy to give 10 100s stroke 1 on 1 minute. So to do one, right? On 110. But to actually explain what's wrong with my stroke technique, what I can work on, it's a lot harder than I can find, at least on my team. Just try harder and keep your head down. That's all I get. Is helplessly fall behind place because I'm pulling the water. I just bought this course and spent hours watching the content and watching the drills you incorporate, and so immediately saw benefits in practice. I was going so much faster than ever, not even completely going max effort, completely effortless. I'm going to recommend you to my teammates again. Just subscribe to your page, started watching butterfly content, and I loved it. You weren't kidding when you said your content was unique. I hope this helps me drop times at 45 years old. And this is the thing too, right? Like this one, I like this one for a reason, right? You think differently, and it's only a matter of time before you get the credit for it. So this was in 2024. Still ain't really getting it, but you know what it is. I haven't seen anybody make the connections you make. I'm over here thinking I'm a lone genius teaching this stuff. And I think that's another important point, right? Like we are, with my product, like we're a community, right? And it's about us dominating together. Like I hope one day, like this is the future, the vision, right? Where I don't know how I'm going to organize this, but you know how like Aska has like their programs, or whatever, like he's a level 5 Aska coach, like something like that, where it's like you're recognized as a Rakely coach, and it means you have like the best technique stuff on the planet, right? And like this guy, like he said, he feels like the lone genius. Like that's the goal, is to have you recognized as elite, above, and way, way beyond everybody else. What do they call it? Exalted. I can't remember the term. It's like somewhere between exalted and like atop the pantheon. It's something like that. I can't remember. I can't think of the word. But that's the goal, is to like have you guys who are using this stuff like acknowledged as this like supreme being that you like can't even believe you can compete with. Got my Smoothie King going. Okay, so that email's not going. All right, I'm going to go to some of the ones I've gotten in like very, very recently. And then we're going to get up out of here. Okay. This one's kind of funny. I said, Hi, I was wondering, or the guy said, hi, I was wondering if you had an eliminating a pause and kicking when taking a breath for freestyle. I said, yes. Are you in the course? He said, what's the course? I said, celebrity technique solutions you could ever think of every technique solution you ever think of. And then I have a section that's literally telling, I took a screenshot of the section. I have sections literally called stalling, right? Like, I think the first one is how to stalling and kicking and stalling, or stalling and breathing. And then what's the other one? I can't. How do I zoom into this? All right, here we go. Stalling in your full speed stroke, so like your kicks maybe not going as fast, or your recovery is moving slower than it should. And then breathing and stalling during the swim, right? So it's like I try to deliver what I say, you know. So this one was a cool one. So this guy, I think he had left for like 4 or 5 months, right? Left the content, came back, and we said, what you gave me, my man, is a community in itself. The content you're giving me is too damn good. Others are either too embarrassed to admit it or too prideful to acknowledge it. And the community part he's talking about is the one-on-one reviews. And I didn't realize, I still don't kind of get it. I kind of get it and I kind of don't. But he was saying that the one-on-one reviews was almost like being in a community, because you have all these different athletes going through their learning experience, and like the content converts to them, but I have to like tweak it for the athlete, right? And I have one athlete who I had to like completely restructure like how he thinks about it and the words I say and his spatial orientation, because it's so bad. But I think that's what he means, because like usually in a community, everyone's exchanging their ideas, right? So it's kind of like you get to see different ways that the technique stuff is implemented effectively. So I think that's what he meant. But yeah, that was a really nice one too. Got an Olympian. I'm not gonna, he has not to be or to remain silent, whatever. Anonymous. He asked for some advice on the sprint freestyle. I need to actually go check his time and see if he went, because he said he'd give me a shout out if he went 21 or 47. So I may have to go collect on that. Just watch your vid on pulling the water with your bicep area instead of the hand, and completely changed my feeling. I went best times by a second in one of the best sets that we do often, and I was sick. Big ups. So I want to think that this is that Vanya girl, the Asian girl, very fast. I don't think it's her, but it might be. He said, my man, I never did. I don't know what he's talking about right there. I think what you did for me, explain the periodization. No, it's not her. This is somebody else. With the 7-year-old's knee, what muscles they need to target very early on. That was so helpful. It's taking the technique you brilliant taught and gave it structure. That was gold. I like to have that sort of application. So I think we were talking about like when to introduce what techniques and why you introduce them at certain points. Okay. All right. Let's go to our last little section. These are my most recent ones. I think these may be, and then we'll read the email that I got. Oh, actually, I think that last area was my last section. So we can do a little bit more. Okay. I bought the content a month ago. And my team's results were extraordinary. I have 8-year-old children doing 32 seconds and 50 free in meters. The best time in my country, Bolivia, and many more positive results. One more time, thanks for your work. You definitely have a world elite eye. World elite. What are the great, think about the great world elite coaches you know, or elite technical coaches, okay? That's what he's saying I'm at. So, these things, they make we'll talk about that in a second. Thanks, man. These cues are great and your content is so ahead of the rest. When I look at your technique content, when I look for technique content on the internet, none of them go as deep as you do. Keep the high quality going, man. Rooting for you. I think this is the. Sum up this for you and use your content. I had a great win for an underwater dolphin kick for a guy who's never had one. Had me in tears seeing him grasp and find a way to move. That's right. We're creating experiences, guys. Last night, I had my middle group, 8 to 12-year-olds, doing the leg lift on their boards for the 6-beat free kick. It's where I basically teach them how to, recruit their hamstring muscles in the course content. Had non-kickers moving like beasts after that. Yeah, you'd be shocked. You have a lot of kids, especially your athletes who maybe aren't great swimmers. You start teaching them how to tap in those athletic muscles, they'll become your best swimmers. I've seen it happen time and time again. Like it's really fun. Okay. All right, let's read this. About half of it. Half of it, he's asking a question, so we're not going to read that half. Okay. So I asked this guy, and something happened to his account where like he got removed from 3 months of one-on-one review content, and he was the only one. So I had to, went and fixed that, and then asked him, "What are your experience with the content? How's your experience with the content been?" Guys in Italy, and here's what he said. In all honesty, I think that you are a genius, and it's kind of funny because he's the second Italian guy I've had call me a genius. And it always makes me laugh because it's like not a compliment. It's really not a compliment in American culture. It's like a hyperbole, sarcastic insult, right? So it always makes me laugh when I see like non-native English speakers use the word genius to describe something. You're basically calling them an idiot, right? Anyway, I think you're a genius. Let's say it again for the YouTubers. Maybe at the beginning your method may seem unconventional. In fact, people used to laugh at me while watching me do some drills, like the right upside down drill. Dude, I love it. I love that because the way I've always competed is like you may beat me now, but I'm gonna have the last win. I'm gonna have every win after that. You may be laughing now, but we're gonna see who's laughing. See how the power structure changes when I'm at the top, and now you're at my mercy, and you're at my mercy. Let's see what happens then. All right, so I love seeing that. But then they saw me racing, and nobody laughed at me anymore. Beautiful. When I joined in March 2025, I stopped training because I first wanted to learn how to swim properly, as I'm 27 years old. I started swimming just a few years ago. In 2 hours, I stay at the pool every day. I do drills in regard to every stroke plus underwaters. After 9 months, I can tell that I managed to improve all my times in every stroke despite the lack of actual training because he's actually using his muscles. So he was very into training before, right? So he basically went from training to technique as his primary. You need the technique or the training too, because then you're actually training those muscles. But shout out to this guy. That alone tells how much I improved, in particular in butterfly. So this is kind of an interesting one, this fly comment. I had a coach once ask me, he's like, "What do you think the best stroke?" Because we worked on butterflies, and I had butterflies moving up and down the pool, flying, right? And he was like, "What do you think your best stroke is you can coach, right?" And I said all of them, but I was like, backstroke is my weakest stroke. And this is before I'd fixed my backstroke technique and figured out what I was doing wrong. And I was like, sprint free, I can definitely coach. It's the athlete has to really let go of their preconceived notions about what they think they understand. But in my head, I was like, butterfly. And I think about it now, and I think it's just that the butterfly information is that bad, and people are such bad butterflyers that I get to stand out as a butterfly, being really good at coaching butterfly. But yeah, it's just I appreciate it. So all right, so in particular in butterfly, I never swum more than 50 meters at a time, and now I regularly do 5 to 6 minutes of sustainable butterfly every day without even getting tired. I'm trying to tell y'all, we're gonna make this into my post that goes on my page actually. Without getting tired, where am I? In addition, I managed to personal best more than 1 second in the 50 as well. I still need to lose the connection. I still tend to lose the connection with the hip and the pull. Yeah, it can get tricky. I don't know why. I guess I say I don't know why, because even when I teach it one-on-ones, the athletes struggle with the press the hips and pull. And if you think about jumping, like, it doesn't make any sense to a degree. Or like if you're doing kettlebell swings, because I guess kettlebell swings is a bad example, but right, you'd be just like there, boom. Right, so you're here, and it's that's all it is. And I think it's the fact that people have to, like, on land, I can just flex my quads, right, to straighten my knees and basically stand up. In the pool, because you don't have that same spatial orientation of gravity and gravity, it's more posterior chain and pull while doing a backflip, right? So maybe that's why. In backstroke, I'm not even the same person. That's a nice one. Mainly thanks to your new contents of the weekly stroke development videos. So, manage personal best in all distances by a lot. So, what he's talking about there is, like I said, I had a kind of, wow, I can't believe I went for 30 minutes. So, here we go. I had a video I had a moment where I basically just abandoned my beliefs on backstroke, right? And like I treated it as like enough or a lot more percentage, just to say 50, put a number on it, right? 50% pull into the body, 50% push away. And I end up changing it basically to like 100%, like 95, 99% push. And the moment I did that, all of them started dropping time. Like, it was crazy. Like, we worked on for like 2 weeks, and these kids then went to a meet, and they all dropped like 3 to 6 seconds apiece, right? One was 13, and he went from like an A cut to almost his sectional cut, like in one swim. Like, crazy stuff was happening. So that's what he's talking about right there. Okay, yeah, then there's the rest of more questions. So, yeah, man, like, the reason why I want to talk about this is because, I mean, you see the hate, and it can make it difficult for you to keep going. Oh, wait, I have an email follow back section. What's in there? Oh, okay, I know what that is. Questionnaires. And you kind of, like, it's easy to get caught up in negativity. Me personally, there was like a time where I was like competing out of like a really dark place, like kill everything type stuff, because of how I was basically fired from my previous job for everything he said I didn't do. And I was just like, wow, like this person just like stabbed me in the back. Like I thought we were a team. And like you slight me like that, especially when I'm like trying to do right by you, trying to do right. Like I give him credit, putting me in good situations, even though I did the work. When kids are upset with him, like I'll defend him. And then it was just like, oh wow, like even like when we didn't have an issue, a lot of the things you were saying I was doing wrong, I later found out like the next year after I left, the kids were like, no, like you were great. Like, and it's just like, wow, everything he said about me was a lie. So, or he misunderstood what he was being told or something, because it was like dead ass wrong. And I remember there was this day, so that was 2019. So for about 2 years, I completed in this, it was like 2.5. I competed in this like really dark place, right? And, rages, anger, rage, hate, whatever, it's a renewable resource, right? It's very easy to ride as a fuel. It's also very toxic. And I remember one day I was sitting down working, and it was something just hit me, like the darkness of it all hit me, and it was just like my soul felt like weighed down, and I was just like I literally felt like not sick, like stomach sick, like flu or whatever, but I felt sick, like my like I was just like heavy, and like my soul was like, my soul was heavy, I guess is a good way to say it. And I was like, what's going on? Oh, wow, my eyes just cleared up that fast. Sorry, my medicine's like, it makes my eyes, really hard on my kidneys. but I have to drink a lot of water, and it'll, keeps me, not looking crazy online. And I was like, what's going on? And I was like, it's got to be this. Like, it has to be that I'm like competed from this like dark place this whole time. So I went and I found this box of like everything, basically everything nice I've ever had written about me from a parent, from swimmers. And so I was in this, like, I lived in a 230 square foot unit, right? Very small. This is when I was in poverty, pretty much, trying to get Rakeley off the ground. This is like 2020 to 2022-ish, early 2022-ish. No, late 2022. And so I had like this wall ran like, so this desk is about a little shorter than my wingspan, right? And it goes from like here this way, right? So this is the end of it, and then the desk runs all the way down here. So if you imagine that, and then there's a wall right there, and then the wall runs into a corner, and then right in front of me there's another wall, and then there's the bathroom right there, right? So on this side of the wall, I took like thumbtacks and I put all the nice stuff up, right? So that way, whenever I start feeling like that, I could always like look up and just see all the nice stuff that I've gotten through the years, just nice words from kids, nice words from parents. I've had kids make me stuff, like paper stuff. I remember I got a little pinwheel, like the elementary school ones. I had that up. This one kid drew, as good as a drawing as like a little 5-year-old can do, but it was me, him, and Wally. And I had that up there. And it was just like, even now I feel so much better just talking about it. But it was like a really like kind of uplifting thing, So that's kind of like why I was like, if I want to do this, that's kind of like where I want to take it. And because like you're going to have people downplaying you, but you got to find those silver linings, which honestly, I think I talked about in another video on Wednesday. And, I'm extremely grateful for the people I've worked with and, whose parents have trusted me to, take care of their kid and provide them a positive experience in swimming, and hopefully, be a bit of a like mentor or a big brother, or another big brother to their kid. And I cherish those opportunities. I really do. I take my job really serious. And yeah, dude, like, you don't know who's watching, man. You don't know who you're helping. And then when you find out, it's like, oh, you see that you're really making a difference. And I think it's important that sometimes we got to remember this, especially when you're just grinding. Like, you got fans, you got people who love you, you got people who want you to do well, who thank you for helping them. And like, that's the reason why you got to keep going. Not even for your own ego a lot of the time, even though that's fine. But, there's people out there that need your help, and you'd be selfish to not do it. So anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. Please leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about my philosophy on just positive feedback. If there was one of the comments you liked in particular, let me know. Drop a like, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell so you're notified whenever I drop a video. Thanks for hanging out. Peace.